Good evening, everyone. And while everyone might be spoke on our Zoom meeting or Sokai Hongwanji, here now that our so appreciate everybody's understanding and patience as we continue to negotiate some of the challenges of the COVID pandemic. To begin our services, I'd like to ask those on the call to join us in meditation and bandana Sarana, who will be led by Reverend Sokai Murakami. Thank you, Reverend Murakami. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to join us in the singing of the evening gospel. We have the words.
Darkness will dispel, gladly ring around the elder, nature, master, guide and friend. When the last from past the twilight, all the lights of earth shall hide. Truth within its arms shall fold us, bearing us across that tide. Ever onward, ever upward, gently held in love and praise, till we reach Nirvana's summit and behold truth face to face.
Thank you, Murakami, for accompanying the organ. And at this point, then, I'd like to call this General Assembly to order. As you know, the Sokai is our annual General Assembly meeting, where we do conduct our business matters. So, to begin with, I did want to share a few words, and I thought it's important to speak to these items. Uh, this service will be uploaded to YouTube, and so it will be shared with others who have a great time can our proceedings. So let me just begin by, first of all, wishing all of our participants receiving a Happy New Year. And thank you again for joining our annual meeting. Last year, as I mentioned earlier, you may recall we had our annual meeting via Zoom, and that was our second meeting that we had conducted by Zoom. The first one was our New Year's Eve service. And Penny Top, who has graciously served as our Zoom coordinator for the past year and a half or more, and had to go through a very steep learning curve to get us broadcasted last year. And today we have learned to better manage, of course, our gatherings, and Dan and his group have acquired the necessary hardware and software now to reliably host Zoom broadcasting of this and so many other meetings we have at the temple. So again, I'd like to extend gratitude to Danny for his continuing efforts in helping us in this form of communication. So we've adapted to our changing external environment despite these constant and rapid changes. Our board of directors committed to keep Wailuku Hongwanji as strong as we can possibly make it under the circumstances. So I do want to extend my appreciation to the board for their continued commitment to our temple. Of course, as always, we need to thank Reverend Murakami for his continued effort in providing spiritual guidance to our membership. And I think we all appreciate the adjustments he has had to make for the past couple of years in sharing the Dharma. If you bear with me, I do want to provide some highlights of actions taken by the board in 2021, as I think these items will be of interest and important to our general membership. First of all, I'd like to thank Paul Fukunaga and Tammy Ogawa as they both work diligently to help us secure a federal payroll protection program or PPP loan for our preschool, Japanese language school, and with a small portion being allotted to our office operations. For our preschool especially, this loan helped them through what was and continues to be a very challenging operational period. Separately, we completed a comprehensive termite treatment of our Vineyard Beach campus, and that included ground termite treatment for the temple building, social hall, on-campus rental units, and minister's residence. We also completed dry wood tent termite treatment for the structures. On the administrative side, we adopted the resolution to help clarify the purpose and use of our HIQ and Norfolk Go funds. We do want to ensure that the principal amounts in those funds are reserved for HIQ and Norfolk Go purposes, but there was no previous documentation provided to help us manage these funds. And we believe the resolution will be helpful for future generations of leaders here at Wailuku Hongwanji. We also amended our bylaws to allow for electronic meetings, and I think that's going to be here to stay. We all know that this mode of communication is something that has been quite successful, and so we expect that will continue in the future. And perhaps something lesser known, we continued work with the State Historic Preservation Division to complete studies needed to better document the historic elements of our old document building. We are looking to remove that structure given its current state of disrepair, but that process is complicated and time-consuming. Now, for the year 2022, what do we have in store? Well, we continue working getting the needed approval for our work on the old Gakuin building. We also want to improve campus security with the replacement of our existing campus security system with an upgraded system, including the possible addition of a camera monitoring system. Some of you may know we've been subject to activities that have been detrimental to our campus, tampering with PV systems as an example. And so we do want to upgrade our security to make sure that we have the observe and record. For 2022, we'll also provide improvements to the minister's residence, as well as our on-campus rentals to ensure the continued longevity of those structures. And last but not least, we will begin planning for Wailuku Hongwanji 25th anniversary, which is targeted for October 2024. And we just need to express gratitude to Danny Top, because we will be leading our 125th anniversary committee. No, and like all nonprofit organizations like ours, we need to keep current on our administrative and financial priorities. And our board and office staff, Sharon, Dan, and Frank, have been doing an excellent job of supporting this objective. Of course, we'll continue to work in the context of what can and cannot be done. Through COVID. Already, we have seen the BWA's April State Convention here in Maui move to a virtual format, and we at Wailuku Hongwanji have been making adjustments to scheduling our special services. So we'll just have to see how things evolve and adapt to what is presented to us. Speaking of which, I think most of us have received a great amount of information on COVID over the past couple of years. And we've each made adjustments to our daily lifestyle to make sure that our family members, friends in our community, and each of us individually remain safe and healthy. All the while, we continue to hold true to our Shin Buddhist values. And for that, we'd like to thank all of you, our Sangha, for your commitment to Wailuku Hongwanji. We've been patient as we and our affiliate organizations have made adjustments in how services are provided. And really importantly, you've been generous in your giving as we sought to stabilize our finances in the midst of very choppy waters. It is with this in mind that we extend our heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for your understanding and support as we collectively negotiate this path of uncertainty. Namo Amitawas. So, again, thank you everyone. This very difficult to explain in words the sense of gratitude that we feel coming out of and continuing what's been going on around the past couple of years. At this time, I'd like to ask Paul Hironaga, our Director of Finance, to present the proposed budget, and Danny will share the screen with the budget. And Paul, if you wouldn't mind going through that, please.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Thank you, Danny, for putting up the budget. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of cover the 2021 actual along with the 2022 budget. I think it's a little easier if I sort of cover both at the same time. One caveat that I want to make a note of is that when we put together the 2022 budget, we did forecast a much more prosperous year without COVID. And of course, there's no way to really know, especially with this most recent surge with Omicron, how 2022 will pan out. But when we put the budget together, we had the premise that we would be coming out of the pandemic. So if that doesn't happen, then we'll just have to adjust like we did in previous years. So kind of going over the various categories. In activities, as you noticed, in 2021, we did not have many activities, so very little was brought in. We're going back to our normal budgeting in 2022. So that's the difference there, $4,000. During, as far as assessments to our various organizations, there were periods of time last year that we stopped some of the assessments, so that also reduced the amount. So we're just going back to our normal assessment amount, which would be the $9,600 total. Going down a little further to contributions. This is where things will change a little. As you notice, total contribution is forecasted to be almost $41,000 less. And that's basically with the elimination of the year-end fund drive, which this year was almost $18,000 more than we had even anticipated. So that was very, very helpful. But as we move down further into our normal fundraising area, you'll see that where we plan to make up that difference. The regular donations pretty much tracking about the same. So very little variance there. As far as fundraising, which is next, that's where you see the large difference. So what we're doing is we're kind of going back, as I mentioned, to a more normal year, hoping that we will be able to have these fundraisers as we had in the past. And we'll just have to see whether that pans out or not. Going down a little further to rental income. We were able to generate a little more income this year in 2022 because we were able to basically work with the Section 8 division, which some of our tenants participate in, and we were able to get a larger allocation from the government without increasing rents from the tenants, because as you know, Section 8 is a federally funded program that assists tenants. So we were able to figure out a way to increase the Section 8 contribution. So that increased, forecast increases at over 9,000 a year. And of course, next year, we're hoping that we'll be able to rent out the social hall again. That's another 3,000. So we're hoping that in 2022, our rental income will increase by about $12,000. Going down to total services, we see the biggest increase there will be the Obon, hoping that we'll be able to have Obon again this year, even though people were very generous last year without an Obon. So we're looking at a total change of about $70,000 more projected in total income for this current year. Going down to expenses, let's see, tracking here with my notes. Salaries are projected to be less. Administrative salaries, I'm sorry, not less. Expected to be more by about $20,000. And that's primarily because in 2021, we received the benefit of the PPP loan, which we shared with the preschool and gakuen. We received a total of $94,000 from the federal government, which assisted us with reducing payroll expenses. Of course, we won't have that this year, so that's the primary difference for that increase. Let's see, going down to The also you might have noticed that the minister's salary is going to be higher. That's also because Hompa also received the PPP loan last year and thereby reduced their assessment of minister's salary. So again, it's going back to normal amount. Some of the expenses that we see there, preschool salary expenses, those are all timing issues. We basically get billed for the preschool and the gakuen salary, and then they reimburse us. And so it normally trails about a month in arrears. So even though amounts are showing there, technically there's no expense that's spared by the temple for those. Going down to fundraising, we're just adding back the normal amounts that we expend whenever we hold those fundraising items. So that's based on normal operations again. Fire insurance, liability insurance is forecasting a 5% increase. Now under Kyodan expenses, we're going to be seeing we're anticipating actually a reduction from Hompa assessment. And this is carryover savings that they experience also from various grants and PPP loans. So the head office has reduced our assessments for 2022. We're grateful for that. Let's see now. So as we go to the bottom of Kyodan, a little further down, we see that there's be a reduction of about $9,000, primarily due to Hompa. Going over to our expenses, repair and maintenance sticks out there. As Michael mentioned, we did an extensive campus-wide termite eradication. We found that multiple buildings in our campus had both subterranean and dry termites. So every building on the campus was treated this year. That was close to $30,000 worth of treatment. So we're not anticipating that this year. So the repair and maintenance amounts have been reduced accordingly. Going down to total other expenses. Nothing much here. We did some repairs on the rental units, which reflects that $17,000. Repairing a lot of termite damage. We did fix some of the windows, various things. We're going to be expanding on that this year. Going down to the so when we look here on the projects, this is the going to be the bulk of the larger expenses that are incurred. Oh, go back down, back up. Yeah, sorry, right there. Projects. So in 2022, as Michael mentioned, we're going to be adding a new security system, comprehensive security system on campus. I know there's been some crime going on, and that's just an estimate. We haven't got all the quotes in, so I just added it up a little. I bumped it up a little more than what actually Michael told me, just to ensure that we have adequate funding to install cameras and alarm systems. For the Kaniela rental units, we have 2 units. We're going to be looking to replace the flooring upstairs, bathroom cabinets and sinks. We're going to be replacing flooring downstairs, as well as cabinets and countertops and sinks in those units. So that's going to be about $42,000. At the minister's residence, The biggest expense there is the ceiling in the unit is starting to collapse. And so it's a very old volcanic type of material. So we're looking to replace the entire ceiling in that unit, and that alone would be about 75,000, along with adding window treatments. So all of that and light fixtures. So we're looking at about 87,000 to spend on the minister's residence this year. So that's the big influx in our budget. That's the most notable item we spend. Religious, total religion is pretty much on par. We're expecting more services next year, so we're putting in our normal budgeting amounts. GT, we are forecasting fundraising, so we bumped that up accordingly. As far as utilities, we're going to see a increase in the electricity for the temple, hoping to bring services back in-house, and that primarily reflects the electrical costs of running the AC in the temple. Moving along, as far as the other expenses, it's pretty much keeping in check, with the largest being the electricity for the temple, reflecting the majority of that $9,000. Going down to youth organizations, just bringing that back to our normal budget amount. So right here, when we look at this bottom line here, with the generous contributions of the Kyodan at the year-end fund, we had originally targeted just 30,000 to break even, but we didn't anticipate the extensive termite infestation. So we're very fortunate that we generated more than that, and ended up just coming out about a little over $6,000 negative. Going into 2022, however, we're looking at about $104,000 deficit. And again, that's primarily due to our budget of projects that we budgeted under 39,000. And just so that you're aware, we will be using our reserve funds that we have to cover that. But the board felt that it's very important for us to protect our properties and reinvest into our infrastructure. So it's well worth the funds that we're going to be spending from our reserves to cover them. That pretty much covers the budget and the review of the last year's financial performance. I guess at this point, normally I would ask for a recommendation to approve the budget for 2022.
So, the budget has been presented. May I have a motion to approve the budget as presented?
Mr. Mike, this is Gary. I move to approve the 2022 budget and thank Paul for his hard work in putting it together.
Motion has been made and seconded for discussion, please.
We have a second.
Hi, this is Tamara. I second.
Do we have any discussion? Open for any questions.
Question to Paul. Now, I just have a comment that, as Paul mentioned, that a lot of the numbers that were inserted or used assume that we can get back to some form of normalcy in the course of the year. We'll see how that turns out. But for for now, I think we're taking an optimistic position that things will get better. Again, the board as a whole always has its eye on what's happening, so we need to make adjustments, we'll make adjustments along the way. Any other questions for Paul? If not, all in favor of the motion to approve the budget, please say aye.
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 Nay. The budget is approved. Thank you, Paul. A lot of work went into this, I know, and I think it's, our membership can see, our operations are fairly complex, and so there has been a lot of thought placed into how we run the temple over the year, and so again, thanks for Paul's work on putting that budget together.
Just asking if it was her.
Make an assessment for okay, next item on our agenda. Well, before getting to that, I'd like to ask if there are any other business items to discuss. If not, without objection, I'd like to close the business portion of the 2022 General Assembly meeting. And we'll continue with the presentation of the Fukunaga Dana Award. So let me just talk a little bit about the Fukunaga Dana Award. Each year, we have a Fukunaga Dana Award selection committee that convenes in November. And that committee discusses nominations from each of the temples in Maui district. And as some of you may know, the Fukunaga Dana Award was established by the Fukunaga family in memory of the late Kari Fukunaga, to recognize those individuals who have gone beyond the call to demonstrate selfless giving to their temples and community. The awards are presented to nominees from each of the Maui district temples. The selection committee is comprised of representatives from Wailuku Hongwanji, the Aina Hongwanji, Makua Hongwanji, and Wailuku Hongwanji. This year, Wailuku Hongwanji has won Fukunaga Dana Award recipient, and my pleasure to make that announcement with respect to our recipient. But before I do that, I'd like to provide a brief overview of our nominees' contributions to our temple. And this information is taken from the nomination essay that is submitted to the selection committee in November. Let me just read a few excerpts that I think are important. Our nominee is a perfect example of one who practices dana on a daily basis. Our nominee has been a long-standing member of Wailuku Hongwanji and is a product of Jodo Shinshu, a product of Jodo Shinshu upbringing. Importantly, our nominee's spouse and children have been active in temple activities, making their collective engagement at Wailuku Hongwanji a family affair. Our nominee has fully committed time and energy to Wailuku Hongwanji, having served on the board of directors and having served as a lay assistant leading services during the minister's absence. As well, our nominee is actively engaged in multiple temple activities on an ongoing basis. You find our nominee at major temple events, helping where the nominee can ensure the success of the endeavor. And whether it's helping the Dharma school at Pokon or helping the temple at the Maui County Fair South Honbu, or bringing his family to cleanup events, you'll find our nominee there sharing his knowledge and leadership. Also noteworthy is that our nominee is a member of Wailuku Hongwanji's BWA Executive Committee. As a member of BWA's Executive Committee, our nominee is a key leadership position in that organization. As you know, Wailuku Hongwanji does not have a traditional president position to lead the organization. Instead, leadership of the BWA is under the auspices of the Executive Committee. Much more can be said of our nominee, but I'm sure just listening to this brief overview brings discomfort to our nominee's humble nature. So with that, let me announce Wailuku Fukunaga Dana Award recipient for 2022, Eric Ikeuchi. So Eric.
What the?
Eric,
Oh.
thank you so much for your services. Every time you ask Eric if he can help do something, he's right there and say, yeah. But let me just check my schedule. But inevitably he ends up there helping, and so very reliable in his dedication to our temple. And for that, we are very grateful. And although we are having this announcement made by Zoom, I did want to ask Reverend Murakami to read the certificate of the Dana Award. Reverend, if you wouldn't mind.
Thank you very much, Mike. And I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude and appreciation to the Ikeuchi family, especially Eric Ikeuchi. You are always working for the church. Your smiles, dedication are a wonderful example for all of us, for us to work together and grow together for the betterment of our temple and our society. And I would like to read the certificate. Wailuku Hongwanji mission, the certificate, the Tadaichi Fukunaga Dana Award 2021, Eric Hiroshi Ikeuchi. In appreciation of your unselfish services and contributions to your temple here at Wailuku Hongwanji and the growth of Buddhism. Signed by Mr. Alvin Fukunaga, Mr. Michael Mekio, the chair, and myself, Sokai Murakami, the resident minister. Presented this 15th day of January in the year 2022 at Wailuku, Maui. Very congratulations, Eric Ikeuchi and the family. Please continue to share your wonderful guidance to our society and our wonderful temple members. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend. And Eric, in addition
Thank
to this, we do have a very nice award prop. I don't know if Danny can get a photo of that, but we'll be presenting the award, both the prop and the certificate, at a future Sunday service. And I think it's a little bit more convenient for everybody. So again, thank you to Eric, of course, your family for supporting you through all of this, and thank the entire community family.
Yay!
Thank you.
Talk about from here, applauding as well.
Yay!
Okay, so
Ah,
with that, Eric, thank you. Eric, did you want to say a few words?
no, not right. Thank you.
Eric is also a man of few words, but man of kind heart. So thanks again. Okay, so this will conclude the program part of the Sokai. And at this point, I'd like to ask those in our meeting to join us in the reading of our pledge. And I'll have Reverend lead us in this. Reverend.
All praise. Reach out to others. I will share a smile. To always hold up with our breaking away from my greed, anger, and ignorance. I will try to live in peace and harmony, just like a Buddha who shares tranquility and kindness with all. Moving forward from self-centered, I will share a life of joy and sorrow with others, just like a Buddha whose caring always embraces us all. Realizing that I live because of others, I will try to live life to the fullest with attitude of gratitude, just like a Buddha who promises to embrace us all. Namo Amitabha.
And for those of us in the meeting, let's join Reverend in the singing of Nembutsu. Thank you, Reverend. Before closing this evening's service, I wanted to thank Murakami again for playing the organ. I wanted to thank Sharon and all the staff for putting the program. And of course, we wouldn't all be here without Annie leading the Zoom technology platform. So thank you, Danny. And again, for those who join us via YouTube later, thank you to all of you for your continued support for Wailuku Hongwanji. This will conclude the 2022 Sokai. Again, thank you everybody. And we look forward to seeing you at temple service when things settle down a bit again. Thank you.